So interesting thing in life, you got to be really, really careful what you say, what you wish for, but especially things that you say. Like oftentimes people will knock something that they haven't tried, right? Don't knock it till you try it. We all know that phrase. Well, Damian Lillard is the latest, it's not his first time doing it, but he's been pretty vocal against these super teams. And just this morning, literally today, just this morning, he had this to say. He posts to his Instagram. It's a full post too, not a story. It's not a tweet. It's an actual Instagram post. But it just says, "My loyalty is my biggest flaw. I'm too solid for this weird-ass era. No cap. My loyalty is my biggest flaw. I'm too solid for this weird-ass era. No cap." He's clearly referring to the Nets and the Lakers building these massive super teams. The Clippers have also kind of got one going. And he's said this before, that he'd rather stay in Portland and not win a title than to leave and go win a title somewhere else. Well, Dame, you got to be very, very careful what you say, because you might feel that way right now. But what if you go 3, 4, 5 more seasons and still don't have a title, and your window is basically closed or closing? You might feel differently, because there's a guy that you might know. His name's Kevin Durant. And back in 2010, he had this to say. This is when LeBron James joined the Heat. He put, "Now everybody," this is on his Twitter, which he hasn't deleted, by the way. I guess I wouldn't delete it either. Everybody knows he said it. But he put, "Now everybody want to play for the Heat and the Lakers? ? Let's go back to being competitive and going at these peoples! !" So Kevin Durant, the now poster child of super teams, the guy that's, my next chapter, when he joined the Warriors, and then people turned that into a meme with everything else. He was joining the Patriots and all sorts of stuff. Kevin Durant once felt the exact same way, Dame. So I know that Damian Lillard feels that way now. I don't doubt that he does. But be very, very careful what you say, because you don't want it to hinder you from changing your mind. You want to be able to change your mind. Like, life is about evolving. It's about growing. It's about improving. And it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to grow and be different. And I'm not saying that's what Damian Lillard needs to do and go join a super team. I'm not saying that Kevin Durant grew and became better and whatever by joining a super team. But Kevin Durant, for him, he changed his mind. And guess what? Kevin Durant now has 2 titles, 2 finals MVPs, and nobody can take that from him. And his legacy is even more cemented as one of the all-time greatest. And if you don't have a title, if you're Charles Barkley, if you're Karl Malone, ask those guys what it means to not have a title. It's a really, really big deal. So Dame needs to be careful what he says, because now he's really put this pressure on himself to never change his mind, to never go join a different team, to never do what it takes to win a title, which in today's era, like, if you don't have a super team, you got a really, really fat chance at winning a title, because there's just super teams everywhere now. It's like there's kind of like 5 or 6 teams that really have a shot this year, and everybody else knows they don't have one. And that's kind of how it is every single season. And so Damian Lillard, I respect, his caption, by the way, on that was just respectfully. He's respectfully like, "I'm too loyal." He might change his mind. Kevin Durant did. LeBron James did. A lot of guys did. And guess what? Their careers got better because of it. Kevin Durant's still trying to get over the hump of not being just the guy that went and joined the 73-9 Warriors. But he had the exact same thoughts as Damian Lillard. He changed his mind, and that's okay. Do I agree with it? Not always. I don't love these massive super teams, but at the same time, it's kind of fun to watch the best of the best go at it. And so Damian Lillard, be careful. Speaking of these super teams, by the way, you know what? I had a comparison I wanted to make with that. So I talked about how, don't knock it till you try it, things like that. I used to do a sales job. It was a door-to-door sales job where you could actually make a ton of money. And it was something that was very, very popular to make fun of. Very, very popular to make fun of. But everyone deep down was kind of like, I wouldn't mind making that kind of money either, Just like Damian Lillard's making fun of it, like, "I'm too loyal for this weird era." Deep down, he's like, I really want to win a title, though. I would love to have that championship ring. I would love to have these teammates who are like other stars and we're like best friends, and everyone's making more money, winning more titles, getting more fame and popularity. Like, life would just be better, right? There's no question that he's thinking that'd be kind of nice deep down. But on the outside, he's like, I'm too weird for this. He's kind of being, stubborn. People were like that with this sales job. I was like that. For several years, I would get approached. I knew it was a job I could be good at too. And I was just like, nah, that's not for me. I want my summers. I don't want to go do door to door. Those guys are douchebags, whatever it was. Well, slowly but surely they got me, because deep down I was always thinking about it. I was always like, I could do really good at that. I could make a lot of money. I could grow. That could be kind of fun. That could be a good experience. Well, guess what? I eventually changed my mind. I went and did it, which, by the way, they got me at a Jazz game. They offered me free tickets to a Jazz game in the suite, took me up there. I'm like 23 years old, and they take me up to the Jazz game, wine and dine me in the suite. And I remember the guy, the regional manager, he's like this 6'4" guy, played basketball at UNLV, by the way. Nice guy, Danny Brotherson. And he decides he sees the potential in me. So he decides he's going to get a ride home with me and my buddy. So a 6'4" dude that's got, plenty of money, nice car of his own, lets somebody else drive his car home, sits in the back seat to just so he can continue to recruit me on the drive home. Well, it worked. On that drive, I just decided I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it. So I changed my mind. I go out and sell. I ended up being the number one rep in the whole company. I stayed there for 5 years. It was a fantastic experience. And I was that guy. I was the Damian Lillard. I was the Kevin Durant, being like, oh, why is everybody doing that? Because it was like this thing that was just blowing up here in Utah where I live. There were so many people going out and doing it and making money, and some people were failing, some people were getting rich, and it was something that was always made fun of by those that didn't do it, and always touted and talked up by those that did do it. And it's the same thing with these super teams. I feel like, where it's easy to make fun of it when you're on the outside looking in. Kind of, if we're being honest, you're a little bit jealous, but you don't want to admit that. You'd rather say like, no, I'm better than that. But deep down, you're a teeny bit jealous. It's the same concept here. Then that happens often in life. So be careful what you say. Be careful you don't lock yourself into not being able to change your mind. It's okay to grow. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to evolve. And I think Damian Lillard is the type of player. He is like a John Stockton, Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing level player. And he also doesn't have a title. Does he want to be remembered as that guy who never got a title? Does he want to be remembered as a great guy who didn't quite get over the hump? Or does he want to be a true all-time great? You just can't be a true all-time great without a title unless you are breaking records everywhere. And even then it's like, yeah, but he didn't get a title. Greatest power forward of all time, if he had a title, would probably be Karl Malone. But because he got 0 and Tim Duncan got 5, it's Tim Duncan hands down. But like actual basketball ability, Karl Malone was right there with Tim Duncan, if not better. But because he didn't get a title, not there. Same thing with Charles Barkley. Same thing with John Stockton. We're going to talk about Magic Johnson, Steph Curry ahead of John Stockton, maybe even Isaiah Thomas for some people, and rightfully so because they all got titles. So Damian Lillard needs to understand that he needs to think, where does he really want to be ultimately in his career? And that doesn't mean he can't win one with Portland. He could win one with Portland. It's very possible. It's just a lot harder in these smaller markets. We know that. My whole point, though, is don't ever paint yourself into a corner where now he's put pressure on himself to not change his mind. Because now when he wants to change his mind, it's going to be that much harder because he's publicly said, this is ridiculous. This is a weird era. I'm too loyal. And he would get ridiculed to death if he ever changed his mind. It's better